Fulfill your wife's emotional needs, and she would treat you as her hero. Now, in this video, I'm going to give you 6 important steps that will influence your wife to treat you as her hero. If you don't know how to be romantic, if your wife has mentally checked out, if your marriage has no excitement, if your marriage lacks passion, if you feel no matter what you do in the relationship is never enough, if you experience any of these problems in your marriage, this video is for you. Pay attention, man. It can help big time. So as they say, buckle up. All right. For me personally, I'm on my second marriage. And when I think about my first marriage, I realized I failed in certain areas. And one area was provide emotional support. I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know what that was all about because of my upbringing. And so fortunately for myself, things have changed. I'm remarried, happily married, and I understand now what it means to provide that emotional support. And it's way different. So, and for me to change, I started to do a lot of research to understand what is it truly to be there in regards to emotional needs, what to do. And I started to figure out how to be romantic, how to give her what she needs, how to have her treat me as her hero. The goal in marriage is to have a loving marriage and not just a lasting one. And as I was saying that, I started to gather a lot of information, and I started to share information with people that I know, and that's really kind of why you're looking at this video right now. I'm still much a student. I'm way better than I used to be. And of course, I don't know where you are in that spectrum of your relationship. I don't know if you're newlyweds or you just been married for 30 years or just you're at a breaking point. One of the things that can help is applying this 3D formula that I was once told. And it goes like this. It's not just for your marriage, but it can be for success in general. Desire, determination, and dedication. Starts with desire, determination, dedication. Desire, determination, and dedication. Key formula. Life stressful events. Now let's see here. All right, we have paindoctor.com, and it says they did a little survey, and this is what they found. Stressful events: death of a spouse, divorce, marital separation, in jail or imprisonment, death of a close family member, personal injury, marriage, dismissal from work, marital reconciliation, and then retirement. And as you can see, major stresses coming your way if a divorce is to be in your future. Now, if your wife is crying a lot, or if you guys are constantly arguing about whatever it may be, just be aware. Unfortunately, how it is, a lot of people get divorced. I'm not saying it will happen, but it could. So it's up to you to avoid the potential stress of divorce, because all you can do is work on you. You can't change anybody else. In sports, the best way to improve the team is to improve yourself. So the best way to improve your marriage is to improve you. So when others do have stress from marriage or whatever may be that may come, here are some scenarios that could happen. Emotional breakdown of your kid because you and your wife are not together. It's a very dramatic experience when kids experience their parents getting divorced. Your daughter may go looking for love and become sexually active because you're not around. Your son may get in trouble and start hanging around the wrong crowd and then turn into drugs because you are not around. Know your role. In any team, it's about knowing your role. And being married, you guys are a team. Men and women, they complement one another. We have different roles. Look at football, look at all the positions of football, look at basketball. Everyone has their role on the team so things can flow, to have chemistry. What good is a surgeon without an anesthesiologist, and vice versa? They're both important, but they play different roles. So you, as the man, as a husband, you are the leader in the family. We are the captain of the ship, and we determine which direction the boat is going. But of course, we have to take in consideration of our family and their interests first. We put their needs first, and we decide what's best for the family. We set the tone. As men, we have to be a lion, and then we have to be a teddy bear at times. We have to be the provider. We have to be the protector. We have to be a soft pillow at times. So that's kind of where our love, one of our roles is to show love to our wives. Show love. All right, in marriage, it's about playing a role. As a husband in our family, we are the captain of the ship, as I said. All right. Become your wife's hero. I once went to a business seminar in Silicon Valley, and by this guy by the name of Keith Cunningham. So in the process of his seminar, I forgot how he transitioned to talking about being married. His wife was in attendance with him, and he talked about how when they went on a date, their first date that is, and the conversation came about like, what does another person need in a relationship? What are their wishes? He said she wanted like a grocery list of things. Like, expect this, 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 this. I would like this, 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 this. And then he said in response, I'll give you all of that if you just do one thing. Treat me as your hero. And when he said that, I remember writing it down because I thought it was profound. I was like, wow, I never looked at it like that. Because as men, we want to feel like we're needed, and we, how can I say it? We hold it down. And I said, wow, that's a good philosophy. And I said, at the time I wasn't married and I was divorced. And I said, well, my future wife, that's a goal of mine, is have her treat me as her hero. And my wife does that 100 times over. And I'm so grateful that I've had her. And she really does do that. And it's a total difference in the relationship, man. Total difference. So I started to look into more, okay, if she's doing this for me, how can I provide emotional support for her? And it wasn't easy. I'm still learning the process, but I think I'm ahead of a lot of other men because I've taken the time to look into it, to be conscious of romantic and emotional needs that women have. Women in depression, let's see. So here, there was a survey about Depression that was taken by Dr. James Dobson. So here are the answers. Not the answers, but the options that is to choose from. Absence of romantic love in my marriage, in-law conflict, low self-esteem, problems with that, children, financial difficulties, loneliness, isolation, and boredom, sexual problems in marriage, fatigue and time pressure, aging, menstrual, and physiological problems. Stop and think about, I have a typo here, but I don't have to be perfect. What was the top answer, do you think? Let me go back. So 1 through 10, what do you think it is in regards to depression? Here we go, man. More than 50% of the group marked this item above every other alternative. And that number one alternative, the answer was low self-esteem. Believe it or not, low self-esteem was indicated as the most troubling problem by majority of women who completed that questionnaire. So more than 50% of the group marked low self-esteem above every other alternative on the list. And 80% place it in the top 5. Why does that matter? Because, bro, your wife depends on you to feel beautiful, sexy, important, needed, and intelligent. Being romantic is a decision, which is number 2. Let me ask you. Do you want your wife to brag about how romantic you are? Is it hard for you to be romantic? How do you know how to be romantic if you didn't grow up with a father? If you did grow up with a father and he was not romantic, how would you know what to do? Would you read a romance book? Would you watch a chick flick? But check this out. How can you make a decision if you don't know what the options are? As men, we regularly buy things for our family needs. Some decisions are small or big. Deciding where to eat at night. Big, what kind of car to get. What vacation to choose. Decisions, decisions, decisions. Romance does not just happen. It takes creativity. It's a decision that you must make. It takes forethought. If someone were to ask you, what is romance, what would you say? Here we go. Acknowledge her. Anticipate her needs. Make her feel special. Cherish her. It's up to you to understand what does it mean to be there for her romantically. It's not just in the bed, but how to be there romantically and emotionally, because they all tie in. Okay, so I have some quotes here from Dr. John Gray, who wrote the book Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus. For romance, a woman needs to feel a man's energy being spent and exerted directly for her. And it's not that men are unwilling to create romance. A man just doesn't get why it's so important. He is romantic in the beginning to let her know how special she is, but once he has behaved romantically, he doesn't instinctively realize why he has to keep it going, keep doing it. He also mentioned this other quote about roses and flowers. Now, I know some people may just give flowers once a year on Valentine's Day or special days, but I never understood why men don't just make it a routine. It's so simple, but it means the world to women. And this quote I have backs up what I just said. And he said, to feel romance, a woman doesn't want to buy her own flowers. She wants her lover to do it. She doesn't even want to ask for them. If she has to ask for them, it doesn't count as romance. His self-motivated purchase of cut flowers for her is a symbol that he cares for her and understands her needs. These kinds of symbols are a very important part of romance. She doesn't want a potted plant, but cut flowers that will die in 5 years. Why cut flowers? So that in 5 days he will go out again and prove his love for her and purchase more flowers. So do something little. Just get flowers. But don't go to 7-Eleven and get flowers. Go to a grocery store. You don't have to go to a florist either. Roses cost about $12, $10, man. Never stop, excuse me, courting your wife. Now, I have something to share with you. It's a great strategy. Here we go. Make one night a week a date night. A date night. Go out to a restaurant. It doesn't necessarily always have to be a date, quote unquote date. I know, because you may have kids and everything else, but you have to make time for one another. Even if it's taking a walk around the block. One good thing you can do is even just have a meal together at home. Some people, like how I was raised, they get the meal and everybody goes in separate rooms. But try to sit down and eat a meal as a family is a key point as well. Once every 3 months, have a weekend getaway or at least an overnight stay at a hotel. That builds anticipation. It builds excitement when that happens. It breaks up the monotony as well. Once a year, take a 7-day vacation, just the two of you, without children, relatives, or friends. You got to keep that fire going. Cost of going, time and money. Cost of not going, distancing from each other, build up of stress. Number 3, discover and fulfill her emotional needs. Marriage is about give and take. How can you give what you don't know what to give? How do you know how to give her what she wants, not what you think she wants? I want to help you understand where I'm coming from with this. My first job out of college was in outside sales. I sold billboards. I advertised on billboards in the Bay Area for about 4 years. And I approached selling as a big competition. I applied because I grew up as an athlete and played college basketball and so forth. I approached it as I had confidence and I was a team player and had all those traits. But there was something about sales I really didn't know. When I started, I didn't know about prospecting. I didn't know about asking questions to identify needs. There's a lot of the things I did not know. Selling is a science. It's not an art. There's a system to follow. And now, let's pretend that you are a salesperson. And let's say that you sold some paint. And you approach some type of real estate developer and you ask them about if you can meet with them to present your product, basically. So you meet them, you start going off telling them how you have the best product around. You have all these bright colors. You have lime green, you have orange, brown, pink. You start saying the history of your company, blah, 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 blah. And this real estate developer is listening to you, or this company, whoever company it is, and they're saying, man, this dude just doesn't get it. Why is he trying to sell me something I don't want? My company colors are not that. We stick with our company colors. Let's say red and blue. Every single thing we have is red and blue, red and blue. And he's coming here trying to sell me some lime green paint. And then he says, well, you know what? Don't call us, we'll call you. You will lose a sale, simply put, because you are not identifying what the needs are of the customer. Your wife is the customer. Same thing applies. You have to identify what her needs are. Marriage is about give and take. But identify what her needs are. Take her needs into consideration first. Be interested in her first. And as I said, I'm not just talking down to you, but this information I'm saying is for my benefit as well. Men think and women feel. What do you think about that statement? So there was an article written by a guy named Dr. Ron Riggio from psychologytoday.com. And it's talking about women's intuition, myth or reality. And there is a much more logical and research-based answer. Research on nonverbal communication skill has clearly shown that women are, as a group, better at reading facial expressions of emotions than are men. As a result, women are more likely to pick up on subtle emotional messages sent by others. Women are also better at expressing emotions through their facial expressions, tone of voice, and body, particularly positive emotions. Men are better at controlling felt emotions and at hiding emotions behind a poker face. There is also evidence that women are seen as more empathetic than men, and that they are more likely to see themselves as empathetic. In other words, women tend to be more open to others' emotional messages. This may add to the perception that women have some special ability to intuit what others are feeling or thinking. So we're totally different. Men think, women feel. We operate different because we think and women feel. To truly get women, we have to understand their emotional makeup. It can be hard because we're made different. Proving a point on how different it is. We want to know the overview to a story if we ask our wife. Our wives want to give all the details about the story if they ask us. We say in general, tell me what happened. She actually feels, tell me exactly word for word what happened. Here's the bottom line. Women come from an emotional point of view. We think it makes sense coming from a logical point of view, okay? The next thing is understand what she wants. Show empathy and compassion. Validate her feelings. You don't have to agree all the time, but just try to understand where she's coming from, how she's feeling. Now, she wants you to give her lots of praise and compliments. She wants you to notice her. She's an addict for your approval. She wants to be reminded on her own strengths. Compliment her. How do you do that? Food she made for you, what she's wearing, her hair, how good she smells. Notice your wife. You see, she wants you to give her lots of praise and compliments. Verbalize it. If she asks you, how does she look? How was dinner? She's thinking you don't like it. That's why she's asking sometimes. She just needs the approval. But you need to just compliment her, compliment her, compliment her. Thank her, thank her, thank her. Tell her you appreciate all she does for you. Now, Frank Sinatra had a popular song, I'm in the mood for love simply because you're near me. Now for your wife, that song would really say, I'm in the mood for love because you are there for me emotionally and romantically. Women enjoy conversations. All right? Your wife talks to you to connect to you. Communicating is not just verbal, but it includes your body language and tone of voice. She needs to have quality time with you every day. You have to participate in the conversation. I don't know if you ever noticed, but sometimes you may go to a gathering of friends, and I noticed this, is like the men go to one room like to watch ESPN, and the women go to another room and they just sit around in the living room. No TV, no radio, they're just sitting having a good old time, just talking. They can be on, and then if they're at home, they can be on the phone with somebody of their friends, a girlfriend, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. When we are on the phone, sometimes, conversation can be 5 minutes and then we're gone, off the phone, 10 minutes. Women need to talk. Communication is vital. When she's sharing her thoughts, her feelings, it makes her feel like she's very close to you because she's sharing her feelings. Sharing feelings is key for her. Sharing her feelings by communicating. And communication, as we know, is not just verbal, but it can be the body language as well. So as I said earlier, one good way that you can have good conversation, like have a meal. Sit down at the table and talk. Not just with your wife, but if you have a family, it's a great thing to have your kids there as well. As earlier I talked about playing a role, and every team has a leader. You are the leader. You're the man. So you have to take charge. You have to set the tone. If you set the tone the right way, she will want to follow happily, skipping. Now, because you're the leader, maybe you don't feel like talking over the same issue, but your wife needs it. Maybe you don't feel like going to a flower show, but your wife needs it. Maybe you don't feel like watching a chick flick, but your wife needs it. Maybe you don't feel like, you fill in the blank, but realize it may be something your wife needs. Give her attention and kindness. Apply this in your marriage. Okay? Never yell at each other unless the house is on fire. Never try to always win an argument. Never criticize unless you do it in a loving way. Never bring up mistakes of the past. Never go to sleep with the argument unsettled. Never go through the day without at least giving your wife one compliment. I've supplied to you 6 important things that you can take a look at to help you provide the emotional aspect for your marriage and with your wife. Help fulfill her needs. This is just an appetizer. I've developed something more if you need a little bit more extra help. I have a free exercise workbook. And so in this workbook, you and your lady will discover new desires, wishes, needs, concerns, and aspirations. Earlier I talked about finding out the needs. Well, this can help you out. So what you will need to do is go to romanceyourlady.com, and at the bottom there's a sign-up box. Put your email address inside of it, and then I will send something to you immediately. As they say, you have nothing to lose but everything to gain. Once again, romanceyourlady.com. Put your information in, and I'll send you the workbook. Lingering thoughts. Don't wait for something terrible to happen, okay? Don't be foolish. Realize that if you do what you've always done, you will always get what you've always gotten. Don't think it can't happen. If your wife left you for another man, what attributes would he see in her? Go to Romance Your Lady right now, romanceyourlady.com, and be able to provide that emotional support she needs. At the same time, pick up some romantic tips. I wish that your marriage is not just a lasting marriage, but a loving marriage.